Rising Suns, and welcome to our roundtable discussion of the Mandalorian Chapter 3, The Sin. And I am here with my three best friends. It would help if I could remember their names. But seriously, if I ever wanted to go to the parks, you three are the guys I want to be at the parks with. I've been with all three of you to Walt Disney World and Scott to Disneyland a couple of times, or once at least, and it was a great time. Starting off with my John Lennon to my Paul McCartney, Jason, how are you today?
Morning, Stan. Happy birthday, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
You look pretty good for someone who's 72.
Oh, I know, but it's Canadian years. It's metric, so it's
okay.
Different.
Okay.
72 in metric years. Of course, I gave you the dead guy again with the John Lennon.
You always make me the dead guy. It doesn't matter what we do. I'm always the dead one.
Yeah, you go back and look at all my posters and all that. Jason's always going to be the dead guy on the poster. It's like our remember back in the 60s there was a theory. Anyways, never mind about Paul.
If you go and play episodes backwards, it says Jason is dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, playing backwards. That's what you hear. Also joining me from the great state of North Dakota, right south of me, is Justin. Justin, how are you, my friend?
Doing great this morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
and also wouldn't be the Grand Circle Tour roundtable discussion of the Mandalorian without Scott. Scott from Denver, Colorado. Scott, how are you, my buddy?
I'm doing good, Stan. Good morning, gang, and happy birthday, Stan.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who aren't familiar with our roundtable discussions of the Mandalorian, if you haven't seen Chapter 3 yet, you might not want to listen to this because we don't do anything that isn't spoilerish on here. We go straight into spoilers right off the hop, and we're going to start off right where we left off with the Mandalorian flying through space. He has Baby Yoda in the flying bassinet. Is it what would you call it? Is it a hover carriage? Justin, what would you call it?
Bassinet is as good a name as any. I was calling it the egg after the last episode.
I thought when they were talking about the egg, that's what they wanted was the hovering bassinet. They need these things at Walt Disney World so I don't have to worry about the back of my legs getting hit by strollers when I'm walking down Main Street. They need to invent these hovering strollers. So Baby Yoda crawls out of the stroller bassinet, whatever you want to call it, the hover thing, and goes straight for the stick shift on the Mandalorian ship. Now, Han had the cubes hanging from the rear view mirror, and this guy has a cue ball on his stick shift. Like, what are these guys driving? The guy's driving 84 Trans Ams around or something. He pulls it off, tries to suck on it a bit. Mando takes it out of his hands and tells him it's not a toy. I thought that was such a cute scene. Scott, what did you think of that?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter what species you are. If you're a baby, they always try to put them in their mouth. So I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. So then he grabs him by the scruff or the collar, I guess. Is that a Jedi robe he's wearing? Like, it's a weird outfit that he's wearing. But anyways, he picks him up and puts him back in the bassinet. That's like the third time we've seen him have to put that Baby Yoda back in there.
Hover crib. There you go.
Hover crib. Well, it's more like a stroller, though.
It is.
Yeah. So it's not really a bassinet either. But anyways,
I call them $1 billion idea if someone can invent them in real life.
Oh, for sure. I really want these things built more than anything. Is just to save the back of my.
I want to patent it and then build it.
Yes. So he lands in town, and this time he learned his lesson. He must have listened to our first show. He didn't park 100 miles away. He parked fairly close, like where everyone else parks. Every normal person would park. And he gets out of his ship, and you see the door closed and locked behind him, which is important later on, that the door is closed this time around. He walks through town. Now, did this strike any deja vu with anybody when he's walking through town, Justin?
I thought a lot of this, the way this episode was structured, seemed to almost mirror the first episode of him walking through town and going going to the guild and doing all the stuff that he does, kind of in the same order, like they were hitting the same story beats almost. So
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of mostly.
I felt the exact same thing. I felt that like it was the same people, like the same people in town. This time the monkey lizard was being eaten instead of just being cooked. There was one being cooked and one being eaten. Then there was that black spacesuit guy walking, kind of a smaller guy in a basically an Earthling spaceship, like an astronaut would wear, only in black. And did you pick up the sound effect from that? Scott, did you get that at all?
Vaguely, yes, I did get that. Yeah, a lot of reminiscent from the old shows.
Yeah, it was the exact same sound that the Imperial probe droid made in Empire on Hoth. And I thought that was kind of weird because you associate that sound with a character, and then to reuse that exact same sound for another character just kind of was, that's interesting. So he goes to the exact same door again as, with the Jabba robot guy and the things. We know he's going back to get his reward. And the stormtroopers answer the door. And this is the cheesiest line so far, I have to say, when he was walking with the stormtroopers, and one of the stormtroopers kind of grabs the flying bassinet, and stormtrooper or Mandalorian says, "Easy with that." And what does the stormtrooper reply? Does anyone catch it?
Something like, "You go easy."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you take it easy. I thought, oh, that was cringy. I was not a fan of that. So he goes back and he meets. Do we get the character's name of the one that's
The client?
the client, I guess, would be.
I think that's the only name we've got from him so far.
Yeah. So he asks how many fobs were out there.
And he doesn't answer. He just says, the asset was very important.
Exactly. Yeah. So then he pulls out what we all recognized immediately, which is holding the Imperial loonies, as I call them, or the Beskar, if you want to call it, the ice cream maker. And where did we see that ice cream maker before? For people that aren't familiar with Star Wars, Justin, what did you think of? Where did that ring a bell?
So that comes from The Empire Strikes Back, when everyone's evacuating Cloud City. One of the background characters, wearing all orange, is carrying what looks like this ice cream maker. And for years, no one really quite knew what it was supposed to be for. But now it makes sense. It apparently is like a little portable safe.
Yeah. So Scott, you caught that right away.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing I thought of also. I was like, yep, it's his portable safe, trying to take his money out when he was evacuating Cloud City.
Yeah. I see Jason's nodding his head as well. Jason, you thought the same thing?
Oh yeah, well we had just watched Empires yesterday, so I instantly recognized it.
Yeah. And it's been a joke for the longest time. And I guess the story behind it is George Lucas thought the ice cream maker looked cool. And so he brought it on set and told this guy to run with it when they were filming Empire Strikes Back. And it's now a thing of legend. And now it's like something that's actually has a purpose.
Well, I've seen people cosplay that guy.
What's that?
I've seen people cosplay that guy and carry the ice cream maker.
Oh, you go to Star Wars Celebration and there's a complete ton of them. There's like 20 of them, 30 of them running around, and they do a group photo with their ice cream makers. It's kind of become like a joke amongst Star Wars fans. Then of course the Mandalorian kind of breaks a guild rule here, about a bounty hunter guild rule, by asking what's going to happen to it, referring to Baby Yoda. And we kind of get to learn a little bit more about the code of the Mandalorians, or about the bounty hunters and what they're all about, which I thought was kind of an interesting tidbit. Now, finally, the chapter comes up. So we get all this introduction. He already got rid of Yoda. He got his reward. He's starting to walk through town, and only now the title comes up. I love the way they're doing these intros. So he brings the ice cream maker to the Mandalorian hideout and gets his new armor made. Any thoughts on that, anybody?
Well, clearly he needs new armor after his battle with the Mudhorn.
Yeah. Scott?
Yeah, I just found it interesting that the rest of the Mandalorians were in there and almost seemed like they were disturbed, or maybe that's not the right word, kind of angry that Mando comes in there and has all that Beskar and starts questioning him on that. Then the lady that was forging everything had to kind of put him in their place.
Yeah, and the one that's the most angry just happened to be like the largest, for lack of a better term, Mando. I think he thought that he was going to get ice cream, and once he found out that it wasn't ice cream in there, he got upset. I think that's what it came down to. I think that's where the problem
Well, yeah,
lies.
they were almost like questioning his loyalty even because he was hanging out with the Empire people to get this.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So, and what I liked was those whistling birds that they installed in his gauntlet, and what was the warning she gives? Like use these sparingly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you're thinking, oh, we're going to see these 3 episodes later. They're going to come into play, like on chapter 4 or chapter 9 or something.
Well, hopefully before chapter 8. There's only 8 chapters this
Yeah. So he oh yeah, so then she wanted to give him the Mudhorn signet, but instead he opts for the whistling birds. And this is where we get the "This is the way" slogan, where anytime any Mandalorian says "This is the way," it's repeated by
Everyone.
yeah, "This is the way." They all say it. It's kind of like I guess like a pack type thing or whatever. Then we get the flashback scene while they're building the armor. And this was really interesting. We're assuming that's young Mando with his parents, being rounded up is what it looks like to me. Did anyone else feel that way? That's what it's happening, rounded up, and it's his parents or some sort of guardian?
Either rounded up or killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the impression I got is that the parents were trying to protect the kid by putting him in some sort of storage container or something, and then it seems like they get killed, and one of those robots comes after him, and then we don't know how is he still alive if that's him.
Right. So it's a super battle droid that the doors open as a super battle droid standing there with a gun pointing right at him. And if we go back to chapter 1 of our podcast on these, I brought up the fact about the Mandalorian disliking droids. And I mentioned that, maybe he was around during the period when the battle droids were around, and he's kind of like fearful of them or sees them as an enemy. He's not a fan of droids. And I think we could cross that one off the list of being accurate now. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I think in the first episode you could see one of these just like very briefly in the background in one of those flashback scenes, but this leaves no doubt.
Yeah. So I have a friend at work had a theory about that scene. So when the doors open up and there's a super battle droid there with the gun aiming at him, and then we don't know what happens after that, like Justin said. Now, I'm thinking this is where he becomes disliking droids, but does he get rescued by a Jedi? And this is why he likes Yoda so much, why he wants to have Baby Yoda so much, because he has vast experiences with a Force user. What do you think of that theory, Scott?
Yeah, that does sound like a good theory. It makes sense. The battle army, that's what in the Clone Wars, the Jedi is going against the battle army. So yeah, that sounds like a good theory to me. I can see that.
The only problem I have with that theory is that if that were the case, wouldn't he understand better when Baby Yoda lifts up the Mudhorn using the Force?
It could be he understood it, but he was more shocked that this baby actually had Force powers.
That could be.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because I had thought of that too. I had thought about that. He did seem pretty surprised when Baby Yoda uses the Force, but it could be he's surprised that this baby actually is using the Force. Justin or Jason, what do you think?
Well, now I'm wondering if there's going to be an extended flashback where we see it was Yoda that saved him as a kid.
Ooh, even better. Yeah.
Get
I
a
was
Yoda
thinking like
cameo.
Ahsoka or something, but yeah, that makes even more sense. So,
Well, the
go
last
ahead.
couple episodes with the Mandalorian, you can see the flashbacks getting longer. Explains more of the story too. So maybe in the coming episodes, you're going to start seeing the full story. And I'm sure it'll probably all tie in.
Yeah. Now, of course, this is just a theory, and we could be completely way off base with it, but it's a possibility. It's something to think about, and that's kind of what I like about these shows, is it gets you thinking. So then he goes to Kree Karga. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Grief
Or
something.
Gree Karga? Yeah, back in the bar there.
Apollo
And, what's that?
Apollo Creed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he does have an Apollo Creed type of look and voice. So he goes to get his next bounty, and it's supposed to be at where the ocean dunes somewhere, the farthest one he could possibly get. And he asks about who all had fobs. I loved his line here.
We all did. They all do.
Everyone does. What are you, an idiot? We all have fobs for this bounty.
Okay, I have to ask really quick. How do
Yeah.
the fobs work? I was trying to figure out how they all work. How they all track one person.
I guess they're programmed for DNA. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I agree with you, Stan. I think it has their DNA in it, something to that effect, because they all go off and they kind of know in the general area where he's at. So I think it has some of their DNA in it.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that they could turn the fobs on or off as need be, because when he was walking through town the first time, there was no fobs going off. He's
Right.
walking with Baby Yoda, and nobody paid any attention. Later on, after he gets the package back, the fob's working again. So there's a bounty out there again. So Creed talks about the Twi'lek healing baths, which is something I don't think we've ever seen in Star Wars, but I kind of want to see. And the line I liked in this conversation was when he talked about, "We'll go report him to the New Republic." And the Mandalorian says, "The New Republic's a joke." And it kind of ties in with the whole, like, doesn't matter who's in power, it's not gonna be any better. So he goes to leave. He's getting ready to go off world. He goes to grab his cue ball, stick shift thing, and it's not there. So he starts thinking, I got to go get this kid. So he heads back to the same compound again. Destroys the little eyeball Jabba droid seeing thing, and basically kills the same 4 stormtroopers over and over again. Did you feel that was the case? Did anyone else
They're
feel
all
that way?
clones.
Yeah. That's like they never show more than 4 at a time. Like Lucasfilm only has 4 suits of armor, and that's all that we're ever going to see at the same time until a future episode that we know about. And then
Mm-hmm.
I like the distraction tactic. He goes, knocks on the front door, and then goes creates a back door.
yeah. That, I already thought of that. That's a great idea. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, he goes around, makes his own back door. And then he uses that grappling hook. Now, we've seen him use the grappling hook in Chapter 2 when he was climbing up like Batman on the side of the Jabba Tower. And in that one, it didn't repel himself back up. He had to actually climb, and the cable kind of hung loose. It looks like his new one now actually repels back into his armor.
Yeah, pulls it
Did
back.
you catch that?
I guess I noticed that it had repelled back, but I guess I hadn't remembered that it hadn't done that the first time.
Yeah, because I like that scene on the Sandcrawler. Where remember the old '60s Batman movies or TV shows? That's when he was crawling up, and the Jawas opening the windows and looking at him. It was just like the old Batman show. So they tell him these whistling birds are very rare. Don't use them right away. So he uses 4 of them right off the hop. Like an hour later, he's already using them.
And did anyone else think of Yondu with his whistling arrow when that went off?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't even catch that at all, but you're right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I did see a great meme yesterday, and it was 4 vintage stormtrooper figures, and they're all yellowed. And it said, "Don't worry if your vintage stormtroopers are aging or yellow. The Mandalorian just made it relevant."
Yeah, my yellow stormtrooper is now from the Mandalorian TV show. It's no longer from A New Hope. So he basically gets back Yoda, blasts interrogation droid. I don't know why they need an interrogation droid, or is that a medical droid at this point?
I wonder if it's supposed to be more of a medical droid. It was just used for interrogation because it was going to be, way back in A New Hope, as like they were going to administer a truth serum or something. So that would be a more of a medical operation normally.
Yeah. I guess droids are better at giving needles than people are in the Star Wars universe for some reason.
They don't get shaky hands.
Yeah, and everyone's wearing gloves. In the
The
Star Wars
doctors
universe.
are all robots in this universe. I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly. So then he's heading back to where is he heading? To his ship, I guess. Once he has Yoda in his
Just trying to get back to his ship first.
Yeah. I love that move he made to get into that little land speeder that the droids drive in. He does a kind of a flip and a spin and a twist, and manages to land perfectly inside the speeder. I thought it was a great move. What was interesting is now all of a sudden all these fobs go off, and why do these bounty hunters they go to the bar and they keep their fob on the bar, and they have them in their hands at all times? It just seems like an odd thing. Are these things like they get like cell phones to them, or what's the deal? Did you find that weird? That I could picture them, hanging them on their belt or something, but they all had them like in their hands instantaneously as soon as they all went off.
And Grief wasn't kidding when he said everyone had one.
Even he did. Yeah.
So quiet.
I know. Sorry. I got to learn how to read my own writing. So he forces that little R5 droid to take off by pointing his blaster at him, which was, I think, is a pretty smart move. It was a funny little tidbit. And the speeder takes off, and he's basically surrounded at this point. Greed shoots the droid. The droid's no longer working, and looks like he's going to have to use some more whistling birds pretty soon, until all the Mandos come and save the day. Was that cool, or what did you think of this, Scott?
Oh, I thought it was pretty amazing when all the rest of the Mandalorian come flying in there to essentially save the day. To me, when I think of the Mandalorians, as this is exactly what I think of it. Them coming flying in on their jetpacks and essentially being badasses and cleaning house in there. And yeah, I was pretty impressed with that whole scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, were you like kind of almost woohooing when this happened?
I was woohooing, but the whole time I kept looking for Sabine from Rebels to make a cameo.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it was cool that there was like a Darth Maul species in as one of the bounty hunters that was trying to get at him. It was like a multi-horned crowned creature type thing without all the tattoos. It was just like kind of flesh colored. Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. So anyways, they come and they tell him to make a run for it. They're taking care of it. The heavy armor guy, the one that picked on him earlier, the bully, the one that wanted the ice cream, has a awesome machine gun blaster, and it takes out, I don't know how many bounty hunters. I guess, if you're looking for a job, you could be a bounty hunter now because they just wiped out half of them. There's not much bounty hunters left. So he gets to his ship, and this time looks like he forgot to lock the door. He parks in a rough neighborhood and leaves the door unlocked, leaves the door wide open. Mando, I love you, but you either park too far away or you leave your door unlocked. These are rookie mistakes. you gotta fix your issues here. So Creed's waiting for him. and he uses his grappling hook to distract him by blasting the pipe. And it retracts again. So now we know for sure he definitely retracts, because I couldn't tell the first time if he pulled it or not. And shoots him. And I was shocked. I thought, wow, they killed off a main character on chapter 3. Did you guys feel that way too? Scott?
Yeah, I did. I was like, what are they doing? They killed the IG-11 right off the bat, and now they're killing Creed off right off, in the 3rd episode. So, yeah, I thought the same until at least a few seconds later.
Yeah, exactly. So he takes off, he flies away, and he gets greeted by Iron Man out the port window.
I thought of the Rocketeer when I saw him flying with his jetpack.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Jason, you thought Rocketeer?
Yep.
Yeah, Scott, what did you
I
see?
see it.
No, I thought Iron Man too, but yeah, Rocketeer makes sense since he eluded Mando. Go up to his wife, salutes him.
I guess Rocketeer makes sense, but it wasn't there a scene in Avengers where it was almost the exact same angle, and Iron Man flies beside, and he says, "To your right," and they look, and they see Iron Man flying there. I'm pretty sure that's in one of the Iron Man or Avenger movies, and I think Jon Favreau got a little Easter egg in there for the Avengers by doing this scene. Was the impression I got, and he even does the same salute that Iron Man gives him. So he, takes off, says, "I got to get one of those." So it's just a matter of time before he gets his jetpack. Interesting to see once he gets that. The other thing too that he needs that Boba Fett had was that little visor on his helmet that he was able to pull down, and rather than using his rifle scope as for seeing thermal images and distances and whatnot.
You understand though, we're only 3 episodes in, and and this show is maybe go Boba who?
Yeah, exactly. So he takes off. Where's he going? Where do we think he's going at the end of this show? Scott, where do you think he's going?
He needs to hide. That's all I could say. I don't know exactly where he's going. I think he's going to probably team up with some more Mandalorian, probably another hiding spot, because now they're after him now. He's the hunted.
Yeah, because the Mandalorians are no longer in their hiding spot. He has that bounty puck on him. Justin, you think he's going after that bounty?
Well, like we talked about before we started recording, I don't know about that just because how is he going to get paid? He'd have to go back and talk to Grief to get paid. And, shooting your boss is usually a good way to get fired.
Yeah, they tend to frown on that when you shoot at your bosses. They generally don't like that. Justin,
my theory is that he has a kid. Maybe he's going to go try to find the kid's parents.
Okay. You're breaking up. You want to repeat that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said he has a kid. Maybe he's going to go try to find the kid's parents.
That could be. But if it's my theory, then the kids aren't around, or the parents aren't around, at least not Yoda, if it's my theory.
He doesn't know that.
Jason, where do you think he's headed?
I thought he was headed to the Outer Rim to go find a nice hiding place. I did have a thought, though, at this point in the episode, that with them trying to extract something from Baby Yoda, please don't tell me this is going to have something to do with the Emperor's return in Rise of Skywalker. Please don't be making that jump off of this.
Well, the one fan theory I read about that is that the Dr. Pershing on his sleeve has the same symbol as the cloning people at Camino back in episode 2. So the theory is that maybe they're trying to clone Baby Yoda.
Yeah. That being said, I heard a theory that Baby Yoda might be a clone.
Of Yoda?
Okay.
Yeah, Baby Yoda. Possibly, yeah. Of Yoda.
That's a good one, too. Or were they trying to extract the midichlorians from him and use it for, their own benefit? Is that something that is possible?
Try to make stormtroopers with the Force.
Stormtroopers who can shoot.
Well, he killed all 4 of them, so I'm not sure where they're going to get one now.
So even in the Mandalorian, they can't shoot straight.
It'd be interesting to see. I'm thinking, well, does he think that the Baby Yoda is a good partner? He helped him out with the Mudhorn. Maybe you can help him out with the next bounty. Doesn't cost much. But in any event, Mandalorian is now Mummy Mandalorian or Daddy Mandalorian. In any event, he's going to have to start lactating or something because he has to feed. He has to feed.
He just has to go catch some frogs.
Yeah, catch some frogs or start lactating, one or the other. Any final thoughts, guys? Jason?
I'm stuck on lactating frogs.
Justin?
Well, I have to say this show has been fantastic. I love the way they've filmed it and the lighting and everything. It feels so much like it's in the Star Wars universe, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think that they need to give Jon Favreau and help me out, guys.
Dave Filoni.
They need to give Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni Star Wars and just say, "Here, it's yours. You guys do what you want." Scott, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I just think it's been great. It just keeps on getting better. I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, 100%. And with that, Ken, this is the way.
If you would like to keep the adventure going after the show, be sure to like our Facebook friends page, Grand Circle Tour Magical Ticket Holders. While on Facebook, like our group page, Grand Circle Tour. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Grand Circle Tour Podcast, as well as Instagram, GCT Podcast, and our YouTube channel, Grand Circle Tour. If you would like to send us a message, you can email us at gctpodcast@gmail.com. T-shirts and other fun merchandise can be found at tpublic.com. Simply search Grand Circle Tour Podcast. If you enjoyed your adventure, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Only one rule, make it good. Thank you for riding with us, and welcome home.
Do or do not. There is no try.